Okay. Tidbit. Good girlie. So she does have a little bit of an idea that we're going to work on teaching the down. We can do this a couple of different ways. She just recently learned this. She's not necessarily too excited about handling on her body. She does have a collar on. If you have a collar on your puppy, just get them used to grabbing that collar, just rubbing your fingers around the collar, getting them used to that kind of stuff, unclipping and clipping the leash, say, give me your collar, that kind of stuff. You want to get them really used to being handled and manipulated. It's not necessarily her favorite thing. I haven't done a lot of stuff with her like I do with my competition dogs. So this is just kind of a perfect one to show. So again, you have the cheese right on their noses. Now she does have a small understanding to see how slow she is, but what I did was Tidbit, was I had it right on her nose, and it took her a little while. You know, she did this kind of stuff for a little while, and then she would slowly go down. I just kind of held the patience. If they, come on baby, come on sweetie. If they end up going backwards, if they end up walking backwards, don't follow them with your hand. You know, so if they start going backwards and you start following them, that's where it kind of starts going wrong. So if you show them the piece of food, whether it's peanut butter, hot dog, lunch meat, cheese, chicken, just keep your hand in one spot. If you could sort of keep it between their legs, great. If you just kind of keep it down, once they're down, you can put another piece there and pet them, get them used to being manipulated while they're on the down. They could be nibbling on another piece. Okay. So what I ended up starting to do with her, because she really didn't like being touched when she was standing, I ended up just kind of luring this for a little bit. Now she'll do that okay that way. Come here, Tidbitty. Tidbit. I know it's a siren, Betty. Tidbitty, come here. Good girlie. So what I ended up doing was putting my hand just gently, and that goes back to the collar area. Doing the collar, grabbing her collar, rubbing my hand around the collar. So that's not necessarily a bad thing to have your hands around their neck. Tidbit, come here, Tidbitty. Ready? Daddy, right here. Okay, so put it on the ground, put your hand on their shoulder, just a little tiny bit of pressure. As soon as you get their nose following your hand, really, really slow. Really, really slow. Come here, Tidbitty. So you've got them kind of nibbling on it here, going down really, really, really slow. Eventually they just start following that down, and it's just easier if they're going to be nibbling on that in your hand, just to lie down and nibble on whatever you're offering them. Just don't have your hand going back with them as they're going back. Keep it in one spot and get them used to being touched and manipulated. What this little game, not only does it teach them to, come here, Tidbit. So if we were to grab her, which she doesn't necessarily like, but you have to learn how to be manipulated a little bit. So I'm holding onto her collar. So here's a piece of cheese on her nose. So let's say she's sitting, and I want her to lay down from a sit. So I go really slow all the way down to the ground, and I give it to her. I open my hand and give it to her once she's all the way down. So you can either do it from a stand. If she's standing, it's really slow all the way down to the ground. Put a little pressure on their shoulders. Not a lot, just barely, just enough to say, go on down, go on down. But I don't move this hand. It doesn't go back. It doesn't go back between their legs. It doesn't slide with them as they go back. So the reason why people say that's really hard to get them to lay down, because they take a step back, and then we follow them, and then they keep going back, and then we're scooting across the floor as well with them. So just keep your hand in one spot on the ground until they offer that. And I just have light pressure here, and then they get what's in my hand, which was a hot dog. She doesn't like the hot dogs. But you're eating them just really slow. And that's how you would get it down with a little puppy. So those are two of them. So one thing that I like to do once I get them used to being manipulated in this down here is manipulate their body over on their side. And then I'll teach them a little game of playing dead. So you can get them comfortable doing that because we've manipulated them, handled them when they're laying down. You can get them to lay on their side and feed that, and pretty soon you could, teach them a little trick. So that's how you would do the down with a puppy. Good girl, puppy.